What's up, guys? Welcome, and thanks for joining, hanging out for another casted replay. Today we're going to have myself on the Dark Elves versus some no-name guy on the Dwarves. Alright, let's slow motion things down and take a look at both of the builds. For my opponent, quite a wide Dwarven build here. Way out on his flanks, he has miners and dwarves with great weapons, two of them being the miners with blasting charges. In the middle, he has more dwarf warriors, miners, longbeards, dwarf warriors, and more miners with blasting charges and with great weapons as well. So quite a mix. Miners, blasting charges, longbeards with great weapons. So these guys here are armor piercing with lots of armor, as the dwarves always are. Pretty much everything is armor piercing, except a few of the except a few of the dwarf warriors actually. And in the back, we have two units of thunderers, armor piercing ranged. He has a master engineer and a grudge thrower catapults in the very back. And for his lord, he is going with Thoric Ironbrow up on his mount there, his anvil platform being carried by four probably very tired dwarves. And for myself, we have just a Dreadlord up on his dragon. This is a ranged lord with missile strength of 333, armor piercing. Has a few abilities. He has a missile shot ability, and of course on his dragon he has a noxious breath attack, along with a couple other damage boosting abilities. I also went with four Reaper bolt throwers. I was thinking, if I'm going against a dwarf, they usually have a lot of artillery and a lot of ranged. So I said, I'm going to bring my own ranged and bring a ton of Reaper bolt throwers because the dwarves are slow, and I was hoping, you know what, maybe I can outshoot this guy and take out his artillery before he can take out mine. We also have basically a front line of DARKSHARDS. We have 5 of those. They are armor piercing, ranged unit. They also have shields, and oh no, I'm sorry, they do not have shields, but they do have 30 armor, which isn't much at all, so never mind any of that, except that they're armor piercing. And I have 2 units of Harganeth Executioners. These guys are anti-infantry and armor piercing and have 100 armor with quite high leadership, so I just have 2 units of those kind of in the back to go wherever they're going to need to go to plug gaps or provide relief for my ranged units. And as a caster, we have a Sorceress of Death. She will be running with Spirit Leech and the Fate of Buna. Spirit Leech for the Lord, just to kind of drain him down over and over again. And we have the Fate of Buna. I was thinking if you had any elite units, like some elite Regiment of Renown Slayers or something like that, I would maybe use that on them. So, starting off, both armies are quite far apart here, so it begins as a little bit of a shooting match. I have my Reaper boat throwers in the multi-shot selection at the moment, so to start taking down some of these miners and stuff that can blast my front line when they get in. These ones actually don't have blasting charges, but all the same, basically you're going to just start target firing down each unit. All 4 of my bolt throwers selected to just try to burst fire down a unit at a time. Now, interestingly, my opponent has kind of a little 4-unit hit squad way out here on the left, so we kind of pull up some dark shards to get a few shots on these guys. Dwarves are really slow, so I felt okay kind of running out here, getting a few shots on, and then eventually backing up so this guy doesn't get surrounded. But at the moment, we're just kind of holding fast and letting the bolt throwers do as much damage as they can to the dwarven player. Taking my lord, we decide to do a dive in right back on some of these thunderers. I thought it would be, why not, if they're isolated here? I'm pretty sure this guy could take out a unit of thunderers if they're stuck here on their own. So I just kind of jump him in there, throwing my first Spirit Leech down on Thoric Ironbrow to start getting him drained down a little bit. Not overcast or anything, but just chipping away there. My lord here, my opponent, he quickly starts pulling back some of his opponents to support these Thunderers, which probably is the right call. But at the same time, my plan was kind of working where I wanted to hold up his back line and hold up his ranged as much as I could. And I even got a couple other units to come back and his lord. So at the moment, I can just kind of deal with his front line right now without having to deal with his ranged at the same time, which was kind of nice for me. So as his front line, his miners and stuff close in on my front line, I just quickly keep moving back my ranged units to move back, fire, move back again when they keep trying to get close. The dwarves are really slow, so even my bolt throwers seem to be able to outrun them pretty nicely. And then the Harganeth executioners just kind of come in and run some interference and finish off these low targets. Way over on the right side, kind of the same thing going on. Just have Darkshards spread out quite nicely here, getting a good arc of fire here with my Harganeth executioners going in there to hold up the melee units so they can't get on my bolt throwers, or on my Darkshards, but also my bolt throwers, which are continually backing up, and then they will turn and fire on whatever is pursuing them. The middle, pretty open. We kind of shut down and routed off 3 units here in the middle, so these units can soon start to turn and support some of these flanking dwarven units here. Slayers making it pretty deep through. They get caught up with executioners. Executioners should do good against these slayers. Slayers are anti-large, and they're not armored, so they are tough. They will fight for a long time, but sitting here fighting Harganeth executioners and getting pumped by 2 Darkshards and a Reaper bolt thrower that they weren't able to shut down, they will pretty quickly get killed off here. My lord, he gets out of there, but I actually make a mistake. I run in my mage to try to kind of help my lord. I think I was trying to get another spell on Thoric Ironbrow and use her to disrupt some of this range, but kind of a mistake, a misplay by me. I kind of run it in too deep and leave her there while I was busy microing elsewhere. So she gets routed off and killed, actually. Now my Murderous prowess kicks in here after getting so much damage in after so much time. I get melee attack, charge bonus, armor piercing bonus, leadership, and vigor. So all my units are feeling very good right now. Still firing in, microing back on all these dwarven units, just making a mess out of them. All my units are armor piercing, so anything they shoot at, they're doing really good damage and getting really good value. And basically the name of the game here was to continue kiting backwards. Like as soon as something melee from my opponent got close, I would just keep going back, just running back, setting them up further back, fire, and then retreat. So going pretty well for me at the moment. I seem to have more or less taken care of his front line. They're all quite low. My lord and my executioners can probably just clean up whatever's left, along with support from the rest of my range that has very nicely survived and moved back from any real danger. In the Dwarven backline, we still have a Master Engineer. He's still got his catapults, 2 units of Thunderers, and some Dwarf Warriors with great weapons, and along with his Lord. So he still has a pretty tough core here that we're going to have to crack. I have been shaved down a little bit. Some of my units have been beat on a little bit, but still looking pretty good. And it's just rinse and repeat. As soon as we run off one unit, this one, the Dwarf Warriors try to get on my Darkshards. I take the ones that are close by, start firing in to support. And while these ones are backing up, they will support as soon as they turn around. Getting my lord here to come in. He's just kind of cleaning up, routing units, making sure they're not in the face of my archers. And now I believe we start to take all our bolt throwers and target down his ranged with the good old multi-shot, which should do some pretty good work to these guys. They do have shields, but they shouldn't be able to take 4 Reaper bolt throwers sustained fire for very long. So very close one there, but very good that his front line didn't get to engage with my archers and my bolt throwers, because that's obviously my win condition. My army is entirely ranged, more or less. A nice noxious breath attack going down these Dwarf Warriors all clumped up with great weapons, doing really good damage, taking them under half and getting them shaken right away. And they will not even get close to my back line. Not sure what happened to his grudge throwers back here. I think they kind of got hit and run off, and now they're kind of heading the wrong way there. Maybe he's actually trying to back them up and then turn them around to start shooting at something. But I'm not quite sure. That's unfortunate for him, but probably pretty good for me. And at this point, I'm just kind of running down units at will. Harganeth Executioners, very low, but they close the gap on these Thunderers, along with some support from my Lord, my Dreadlord here. These guys, they'll continue to run off. They won't be able to fight these two things at once. Even though my Lord has gotten quite low, I will have to be careful. There's still a little bit here that could potentially hurt him and do some work, but right now we're doing okay. Bolt throwers shooting long range down into his back line, while my Darkshards and Executioners, they're just going to hang around here and take some shots at Thoric here, who I don't think is going to get very much done. I'm way too spread out and he's way too slow, so we just chip away and fire in and take out his Lord down there, while my Lord is in his back line, getting on top of these grudge throwers. Harganeth Executioners, they kind of got left running some stuff off the map. I should have brought them back, but at this point it's okay. Everything worked out, and that was just a good example of microing back and kiting back from what happened to be a slow enemy this time, and he didn't actually take as much ranged as I thought he would. If he took more, he probably would have made out a little better, but in this case we were able just to kite back, and then eventually turn the tide and start pushing back on him. So good game to my opponent. That was a fun one. I really like the heavy ranged builds, kind of no matter what I'm playing, if you guys haven't noticed by now. So this is one I'll definitely try again versus maybe a different faction and see how it makes out. Someone that's a little more mobile, so it'll probably make me sweat a little more. So thanks for joining, you guys. Appreciate it as always, and we'll catch you on the next one. GG's.